Okay, cool. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to training session this morning. We're going to be talking about DSTIs and Toolbox talks. Um, Mostly, we all know by now how to do a Toolbox talk and how to do a DSTI, within our different systems or different frameworks or what your DSTI will look like or whatever you call it. Would it be a JSA? Would it be a SMAT? Or would it be a Take 5? Whatever the case may be, it comes down or boils down to ongoing risk assessment at the end of the day. The whole goal of this training session or information session, excuse me, is to show the easy way of integrating the two topics, because a lot of people will say, but we do DSTI on a daily basis and we do a weekly toolbox topic, or some people will say we'll do a monthly toolbox topic, which is not incorrect. It's correct. We need to understand that the DSTI that we're using, the information captured in a DSTI, becomes a toolbox talk, becomes that awareness training that we want to get past to the people. Basically, that is my main focus I work with quite a lot of contractors in the business as a consultant. So it's always an argument. Who does the DSTI? Who's responsible for DSTI? The supervisor, the manager, or the team leader? The person that has the most experience in doing a particular job is the guy or the person that conducts a DSTI, not a safety officer. Not a safety officer. If in case where a safety officer has the experience in managing a team, in managing specific tasks in the construction or the mining or whatever industry you find yourself in, if you have experience in that, yes, then you can run a DSTI. The focus of a DSTI and the whole point of a DSTI is for the team leader or the supervisor or the manager for that point, for that purpose, to actually communicate the DSTI, because it's him that will work with the team. It is him that is responsible at the end of the day by appointment, whichever appointment he carries. So a daily safe task instruction is designed to examine operational and procedural systems on a daily basis to identify hazards, which has been overlooked in the equipment or works process. A lot of guys, when you come to him, we'll be pouring concrete today, and for the rest of the week we'll be pouring concrete. So it becomes a bit of a monotonous situation in terms of the work planned. So a lot of arguments jump up and people say, but why do we have to do the same DSTI every day or give the same information every day? I believe a person that asks that kind of a question is very short-sighted. Because today it's nice and sunshine, tomorrow it rains. There's always changes in the environment that we work. There might be changes in the tools that we use. There might be changes in manufactured specs of equipment, additives, or whatever the case may be. Any form of hazard that changes, that does not form part of your baseline or your issue-based or task-specific risk assessment. That is DSTI. We want to highlight the hazards and risks that we've maybe missed, or changes in the works processes where new hazards and risks come up. When do we do DSTIs? Prior to the beginning of a new job or shift. So, for most people, on a daily basis. If there's shift work involved, every shift. When a new worker joins the crew, or I didn't put it in, apologies for that, or you get visitors that come and inspect or come into your work areas, you do a DSTI. You don't redo your DSTI, you take your DSTI and you inform the person of the hazard and the risk pertaining to the work area. With the change of work procedures, a lot of times, a lot of people, a lot of professionals, a lot of managers, production guys has different methods to do different things. We always say different strokes for different folks. So every person has a different way of doing something. And that different way of doing something will either change your process, might change your tools, or it might change your equipment or the conditions that you work in. So you always need to adjust your DSTIs according to those topics. Activity or others in the area poses a threat or risk. Maybe if you work on a multidiscipline construction site where your chances of getting excuse me for just picking my brain quickly, where two different activities might interchange to one another, or maybe two different contractors might come and interchange with one another. Then you need to add in those specific risks pertaining to the different team or the different contractor for that specific site. A lot of times on the bigger construction sites, there's a lot of different contractors work, and there is integration of different works and different contractors on a specific job. So yes, you need to factor that into your daily your DSTIs as well. Okay, daily DSTI, safe task instruction is the way for workers and crews to identify hazards associated with work, task, and assess their risk on the day of the job. Specifically on the day of the job. If put controls in place so that risks are kept to an acceptable level. Daily safe task instructions is a way for companies to learn how to decrease and increase the reliability of work, reduce the number of associated costs of incidents, accidents, and injuries. At the end of the day, that is why we do risk management, why we assess risk. We want to reduce. We want to take the information and teach our people. Daily safe task instructions has the tools that help workers to stop, think, and put controls in place. A company like Maria Roberts, stop, think, act. So in that their specific system, they call it the SMAT, Safety Management Auditing Tool. So in other words, when you get to a job or you get to a situation, stop, think, act. Stop, think, act. Stop, think, look at the risk, and do something about the risk. Training for supervisors and workers. The most important thing about a DSTI or a risk assessment or a toolbox talk, something like that, anything that's on a piece of paper that looks like time consumption becomes a problem for a supervisor or a manager. We all know that. We've all gone through the sites, and a number of years of experience teaches us that it's an issue. Right, benefits. We also call it a field level risk assessment. Benefits of a field level risk assessment for companies: improve work method statement and productivity. When we marry safety and health, the biggest question of all times in terms of construction and mining and everything is, can safety and can production live in one bedroom? Of course it can live in one bedroom, because if you plan your work and you do it in a safe manner the first time, then you have a successful system. In other words, improve work methods and productivity. Direct cost saving, no incidents, save a lot of money. Decrease cost to pass on to customers, a competitive edge, and gives you a competitive edge. Better data to improve company safety, reduction in emotional cost of accidents and injuries. Increase trust and confidence of workers and due diligence for workers. Reduce probability of injuries, more security for their families, improve morale, opportunity to make workplace improvements, opportunity to recognize or of increased contribution to company, improves the ability to think critically. At the end of the day, when we talk about safety, at the end of the day, when we talk about risk management, we want people to start thinking that you must handle yourself the same way at work as what you will handle yourself at home. In other words, I always use a simple example. Excuse me, don't have a split personality. Whatever you do at work and the way you handle yourself at work is a direct mirror of the way you handle yourself at home. If you're safe at work, be safe at home. If you're safe at home, be safe at work. It's as simple as that. Okay, integration. Now, this is the important part for me. It's a very, very simple part. The biggest challenge to identify topics, toolbox talk topics, is the ability for a supervisor or a team leader to avoid the use of generic talk topics and focus on specific tasks. The first thing people do when we start talking about toolbox talks is they jump on the internet, they ask Auntie Google, and they go and download a bunch of toolbox talks. Or they find a friend that maybe works for another company. Don't you have some toolbox talks for me? And we get flooded with all sorts of topics and toolbox talk formats. And at the end of the day, we forget that once we've established and done our DSTI, the topics that you need to discuss with your people, you identify in your DSTI. When you put your hazards in your control measures, hazards becomes your talk topic. The control measures is the way that you want your people to do the job. So that, in a nutshell, is what you will use to formulate toolbox talks. The hazards that's been identified can now be used as a toolbox talk topic, specifically to the task at hand. Can we use that topic if there is a cycle of, a simple example, concrete pouring on a daily basis for the next week, or can we use the topic as a weekly topic and run it for the whole week? Yes, you can do that, as long as the discussion that forms part of that topic on a daily basis, which is your DSTIs, covers all the risks, all the control measures, and all the hazards that you've identified in your DSTI. And that's as simple as that. In my case, I think I'm a little bit overcomplicating it, maybe. So you take your hazard, you make your toolbox topic out of your hazard, you take your control measures, the way that you want your people to work, and you teach that to the people. You identify hazards and you use your control methods as your teaching methodology. In other words, this is the way we want to do the job. And that, in a nutshell, if we look at, I just want to go out here quickly, a very, very, very simple, normal, industry-wide DSTI format. Everybody that has been a safety officer, I think probably since about 2005, would know this format. It's a simple format, very simple format. So, how do we do our DSTI? We take our piece of paper, we go to our safety office, get a piece of paper, and we sit in the office behind the desk and we start filling the DSTI in. No. We go to site. We go to the area where the work must be conducted. The first part of your DSTI is a checklist. because you are charged as the supervisor or a team leader or a manager to declare your workplace safe. At the beginning of the job, you have to declare your workplace safe. That's part of the appointment that you carry. Okay, so you do an inspection. If there's corrective measures, you pick up discrepancies and there's corrective measures that needs to be taken, you fill it in there. And you take the corrective measure as identified. Is it an A hazard, a B hazard, or a C hazard? Analyze that and put your completion dates on the right-hand side where it says check. Then it says, very simple, risk reference number. What risk reference number do we fill in there? Very simple. The issue-based or task-specific or task-based risk assessment that is drawn up in the beginning of the job, that risk assessment number, you will fill in there. Then you'll start doing your DSTI. In other words, current job, list main steps of tasks. So you break it down. What do you need to do for the day? We're going to pour concrete. So what is important in pouring concrete? We need equipment, we need material, there's a bit of shuttering that needs to be done, blah, 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 whatever the case may be. And you put your task steps down. The next block, what are the hazards, job, and environment? Because we look at the task that we're going to do and we look at the environment that we're going to be doing the task. And in the next block, simple, your control measures. Okay. This is where most guys fail to do it correctly. Why do I say fail to do it correctly? Very simple. Because people are lazy to fill in this. You don't need to be lazy. When I come and assess when a safety professional or a manager comes and assesses your DSTI, he'll say to you, it's either, you can't say it's right, you can't say it's wrong, but when you look at the job, you can say it's short in terms of information. Make sure that you put the information in what is necessary. Because if something happens or an occurrence takes place, that you can go back to your DSTI and reference and say, yes, we did identify that specific hazard. Whether it be task or whether it be in the environment that we're working. Yes, we've identified that hazard. Why did the incident still occur? Then we look at the control measure that we put in place and whether the control measure is effective or not. If the control measure, in this case where an incident has occurred, it's not effective, we look for a better control measure. And that information we used in Toolbox Talks to do training. Simple as that. Once we're done, we sign it off. Who signs it off? Who's responsible? No, the safety officer must sign it off. No, the foreman or the supervisor signs off your DSTI because he's the appointed responsible person. The next step of the DSTI, checklist at end of shift. Your appointment by law is simple. You are responsible to declare your workplace safe before the beginning of a job, and you are responsible to leave your job site in the same condition. In other words, safe. Okay. We take the checklist, we do the checklist. If there's any remarks that we need to put in, we put the remarks in, and it gets signed off by the supervisor. All right. That is, in a nutshell, the DSTI format. This is a format every company uses. Every company that I know of in the industry, all the big companies use it. The smaller guys as well. I'll answer questions, or if there's any questions at the end of the training in terms of the DSTI format. All right. So the integration of DSTI and Toolbox Talks. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Now, the next question, who is responsible to perform toolbox talk training? Simple. The supervisor or team leader. Why? The person with the most, he is the person with the most knowledge and experience is the supervisor or the team leader. As simple as that. Okay. On to Toolbox Talks. Toolbox Talks, guys, it's such a simple topic, and it's a topic that's built into a lot of things. So a lot of thought goes into a toolbox topic. The most important bits and pieces that was important for me, I took out, and I'd like to share this with you. When done, how to deliver an effective toolbox talk. When done right, toolbox talks can have a significant positive impact on the health and safety of your workforce. On site, they can help create positive health and safety culture within your organization and reduce the number of near misses and accidents. This is particularly important in the high risk industries like construction. But how can you deliver an effective toolbox talk? Let's talk about it quickly. What makes you a good toolbox talk giver? The first thing is have confidence. The first thing is know what you talk about. In other words, be a topic expert. That's why we need a person of experience, the supervisor or team leader. The supervisor or the team leader, where breakdowns will come in, is the ability to present something, or the ability to be a public speaker. Not everybody is a public speaker. It's a very difficult thing to do. Okay, simple tips that can help you in your toolbox talk delivery. Practice makes perfect. In other words, practice it beforehand. Apply topics from DSTI assessments. Stay on topic. Keep it simple. Present positively. Engage and involve. Speak and listen. And the most important thing is check if everyone understands. In other words, if there's people that talk Zulu but can't understand English, get somebody that can interpret from English to Zulu and make help that person to interpret and help for the guys to understand. Simple as that. Okay, how often should a toolbox talk be undertaken? In my opinion, daily. Remember, it forms part of our DSTI process now. So we try and make it a daily occurrence. If it's on a weekly basis, like I've explained before, no problem, as long as we take the information from the toolbox, from our DSTIs, and we use that as a toolbox talk for the current day. Or like the mines do it, most of the mines do it, most of the big construction companies do it as well. We'll have a monthly talk topic as well. However, those talk topics, either monthly or maybe a weekly, will be a generic talk topic, especially the monthly ones will be generic talk topics, where the company wants to highlight certain things like HIV/AIDS in this day and age now, the COVID-19 issues. Those are generic talk topics. Okay. It doesn't pertain specifically to the work that we do. What makes a good talk topic? A good toolbox talk requires a combination of factors: good subject matter, good content, good delivery, and good records. Get it wrong and your toolbox talk could end up being boring or worse, pointless. Get it right and you make a real difference to the health and safety of your workforce. In other words, keep it simple, keep it to the point, don't waffle. A toolbox talk topic meeting should not take more than 15 minutes. How do we put all the information into 15 minutes? Stay on point. Make sure that you deliver correctly, decisively. Toolbox topics. Is it a legal requirement? Are toolbox talks a legal requirement? Yes, it is a legal requirement. Toolbox talks are often used as part of a good health and safety management system to refresh, renew, and provide health and safety information. But beyond being good practice, our toolbox talks a legal requirement. Section 8 of the OSH Act, what does it do? What does Section 8 say in a nutshell? It charges the employer to identify all risks and hazards pertaining to the employee and to create training and awareness. Now, if you look at the Mines Health and Safety Act, Section 11 and Section 10 of the Mines Health and Safety Act translates to the same information that's in Section 8. Okay, so yes, it is a legal requirement. Who presents talks and why? It is vitally important that the person presenting a toolbox talk is of sound knowledge of the works that will allow for works information to be transferred correctly. The same as a DSTI, guys. That's why I say integration of cross-pollination is very, very vital and very easy to do in this case, because the way that you want the job to be done in the safest manner is the information that you will put on your toolbox talk, on your DSTI, and you translate that and give that information over to your people. The person giving the toolbox talk must be experienced in the subject matter and how to undertake safe work practices. So the answer is, to an embattled question, I've put that in for a reason, because it's an embattled question. It's very simple. The supervisor / manager / team leader, whatever the person or the position is called, the person in charge at the end of the day is responsible to do toolbox talks. Simple reason, he is the subject matter expert. Thank you. Is there any question? We can open up now.
Thank you, Ben.
Unmute everybody.
Thanks, Ben. Right now, we just take the questions one at a time. So please feel free to raise your hands, and I'll direct the question to Ben. Are there any questions, any statements, any bills?
Any agreements or disagreements? It's a platform that we discuss.
Okay, I see Musa has his hand up. Musa, go ahead.
Well, I agree with most of what Ben said. It is the place or the platform where you most likely to directly impact the behavior of the individual before the task. It's also a good platform to announce any learnings and insights from other organizations or within your own organization, from other teams, if there were any incidents that one can be wary of that any of the participants haven't vocalized. So it is a great platform. You got to be confident and do your homework for whatever you're going to address, because there's a lot of information out there and you need to know what is relevant for you, what works for you, because of the crowd that you're addressing. So always bear in mind the crowd, how you deliver yourself so that you are effective. Because there's, as Ben was saying earlier on, taking from Musa, taking from Fabian, taking from John, Peter, and Paul, you'll have 100 different topics saying the same thing, but because it's not suited for the environment you're in, you will lose the people. So always do your homework, do your research, just don't cut and paste. Make sure it's relevant to what you're doing. Thank you.
100%, Musa.
Yeah, definitely, Musa. I think one of the most important things for the senior people out there is a friendly face is an easy face to work with, you know, and a friendly, smiling face when you deliver information is one of the most important things, I think, in delivering information or doing training or doing awareness campaigns like the DSTIs and Toolbox talks. You know, it's much easier to talk to a guy that's got a smile on his face than an angry person. And it's something that we must also, Fabian, you're laughing.
You also
And I
read.
talk out of experience. Yeah,
Yeah, for
talk out
sure.
of experience, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree, Ben. Okay, next we got previous. Previous, I see your hand up. Can go ahead. Okay, previous looks like they previous.
Okay, morning, Mr. Ben and Fabian and everybody.
Hi.
Morning, previous.
Concerning the DSTI, there is something that I've experienced while I was on site, particularly regarding the foremen and the supervisors. What they do, most of them, they do not go to site to do the risk assessment as a DSTI. So what they do, they take out the method statement and the risk assessment, copy and paste, of which is this wrong. Like Mr. Ben said, that we should not be lazy. You understand? So it is advisable for the officers to give a big eye to their teams and foremen and supervisors when they are doing the DSTIs on site, because DSTI is a continuous risk assessment. You understand? It's part of a risk assessment, of which it's a continuous risk assessment. You understand? So it is important, officers, when they are doing the risk assessment, they should not copy from the method statement or the risk assessment. They must do the inspection and then identify those hazards and the risk. I just want to add on that. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you for that, previous.
Thank you for that, previous. Thank you. Any other questions or statements, ladies and gentlemen, before we close? Anything else we'd like to discuss regarding DSTIs and toolbox talks? See no other hands being raised, no one else coming forward. Okay, so thank you again. Thank you, Ben, for your time and efforts for your presentation. It was much appreciated, for sharing your knowledge, peer-to-peer knowledge through this workshop. We appreciate it. Thank you for everybody for attending. Thank you very much. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
It's my pleasure, Fabian. Goodbye to everybody. Be safe, good luck, and remember, there's platforms that you can use, like HSE Connection, in terms of getting help. If you need help, please, guys, give us a shout. We're all out there. There's worlds and years of experience and knowledge and information that is readily available. Enjoy your day. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Fabian.